So now we're going to talk about the discrete Fourier transform, also known as DFT. And so the idea behind a Fourier transform is that you've got, in this case, a sequence. Okay? And essentially what you want to do, assuming you're going to assume the sequence has some sort of periodicity, so you want to be able to find the period of the sequence. Okay? All right, so again, we're going to assume our sequence has a length at some power of 2. Okay? It goes from a naught to a sub 2 to the n minus 1. Okay? So that means the total length of the sequence is actually 2 to the n. Okay. All right, we'll assume that our sequence is periodic with period r. Okay? And so that means that a sub j is equal to a sub j plus r for all appropriate values of the index j. Okay, so that means that both j and j plus r should be in the bounds between 0 and 2 to the n minus 1. Okay. And then r is the smallest value for which that's guaranteed to hold. Okay, so it's the smallest possible value for the period. Okay, so we know that the length of the sequence is 2 to the m. Let's call it capital N so we don't have to keep writing 2 to the m over and over again. Okay, and so then the frequency will be the number of times that period repeats within the sequence. Okay, so the frequency then is going to be the length divided by the period. Okay, so for example, if my sequence is of length 16 and it was periodic with period 8, then there'd be 2 full periods, or 16 over 8, within the length of that sequence. Okay. Now, the period is not guaranteed to be a divisor of the length, right? So we could have a fractional frequency, which will complicate things somewhat for us. Okay. All right, so we're going to define then this discrete Fourier transform. Okay, so call it capital F of x. And so the way we're going to define this is, so 1 over root n, okay, so that the number we end up with is still going to be normalized. And it's going to be some c goes from 0 to, well, let's write this. It's capital N minus 1. Okay, so then e to 2 pi I cx over n times a sub c, okay? And we're going to define that for all values of x between 0 and n, including that left endpoint. Okay. All right, so to kind of see what's going on here then, all right, so the idea is, so we're going to take a sequence of length n, and really we're producing another sequence, right? So we've got this, we've got this function, we'll get this function that's defined with the values of x between 0 and n. Okay, so really, this yields a new sequence given by f of 0, f of 1, through f of n minus 1. Okay. All right, and notice that for each index x in this new sequence, we're doing the sum, where the sum is going to run over all the values of the previous sequence. Okay. All right, and so the way this is set up, and I won't go into too many of the details here, because if you've seen Fourier transforms in some other course, then You need to kind of see the details of why this works. But basically what it's doing is it's a way of finding peaks that are basically going to happen at multiples of the frequency. Okay. So this new sequence is going to tend to have peaks at multiples of that frequency f. Okay. All right, so why might we want to do such a thing? So again, let's try to step back for a moment and look at the big picture here. So the idea is we're going to set up a quantum circuit where we're going to generate a sequence that's going to be of the form a to the r mod n, where n is the number that we're trying to factor. Then we're going to measure the outputs. Right? So we're going to measure the output states. And so then that's going to give us a bunch of inputs corresponding to the same outputs. Right? But we know that this a to the r is going to have periodic behavior mod n. Okay, so we're going to have a bunch of inputs. Right? So a bunch of r's, right, where a to the r is going to be congruent to the same thing, mod n. Okay, and so basically what we want to do is we want to find the period of that, right? We want to find the step that we can take that will give us two different exponents that would have the same output. Okay, because if we do that, then we can kind of fiddle with the congruence and get an exponent where we get a to that exponent giving us 1. Okay, all right. But if we know the frequency, then we can also get the period. So if we do this transformation where we get the sequence that's going to have peaks at the frequency or multiples of the frequency, then we go to measure that, well, we're very likely to get a multiple of the frequency from our measurements. Okay, so that'll give us information that we'll be able to utilize to, maybe if we don't exactly get the frequency, at least have a pretty good guess of what that frequency is. Okay. All right, so that's kind of where this is going. But before we sort of put that all together and describe Shor's algorithm, in our next video, we'll just do a little example of a calculation of this discrete Fourier transform, just to make sure we're all on the same page with that.